Good.
Recording in progress.
The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Todd. Good morning, everybody. So I will get right into it and call to order the Public Improvement Commission hearing of February 29th, 2024. Mr. Lyman, would you please take a roll call?
Would the representative from the Public Works Department please state their name for the record?
Yasha Franklin Hodge.
Property Management?
Here.
Transportation?
Amy Cording.
Inspectional Services?
Brian Ronan.
Water and Sewer Commission?
Denise Devlin.
And Disabilities Commission?
Sarah Leal.
Full quorum.
All right, on to our first item on the agenda, hearing minutes one at the request of the Public Improvement Commission staff, the acceptance of the minutes of the PIC hearing held on February 8th, 2024. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of February 8th, 2024.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Any opposed or abstain? So moved. On to utility pole hearing number one on a petition by Verizon New England Incorporated for a utility pole installation within Greenville Street, Roxbury, to install one new private utility pole to be located on its westerly side at address number 19, generally between Dudley Street and Winthrop Street. Would the proponents please introduce themselves, their affiliations, and explain the proposed action?
Ross, you're muted.
Sorry about that. Ross Bilodeau representing Verizon New England. Verizon is looking to install this new sole-owned pole number 4 on Greenville Street in order to extend service to a number 19 Greenville Street, which is previously unserved. The last pole coming down Greenville Street is about in front of 15 to 17 Greenville Street. So in order to serve 19, we need to place a new pole in order to extend the lines to avoid any aerial trespass. I know that the customer at 17A Greenville took down some trees which were impeding any service, and I don't know if that's why it was never fed to number 19 to begin with, but anyway, that's our story with this pole. I know that there is a street light involved right in the vicinity of this, and we did meet with someone from the street lighting department, and they reviewed this site, and they had no problems with this.
All right, commissioners, questions, comments?
Can you just confirm the distance between the pole and what looks to be like the fence behind it, and what that clearance is on the sidewalk?
Sure, I know that the sidewalk is 8 foot wide. I believe the pole was to be about 1 foot off the curb line, so between the back of the sidewalk and the pole would be about 6 feet.
Right, thank you.
All right, hearing no other questions from the commission, are there any comments or questions from PIC staff or members of the public?
I will take this opportunity to remind the public, if you wish to ask questions or add testimony, please use the raise hand function at the bottom of your screen during the relevant portion of the hearing. I have no comments on this one, and I do not see any public testimony, so I think we're all set.
With that, do I hear a motion to approve utility pole hearing number one?
I'll make a motion to approve a petition by Verizon New England for a utility pole installation in Greenville Street as read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstain? So moved. Thank you, Ross.
Thank you.
On to our next item, public hearing continued number one on a petition by Atlantic Oliver Mass LLC for the acceptance of a pedestrian easement adjacent to Island Street Public Way, Roxbury, located on its southerly side west of Massachusetts Avenue. New business on January 11th, first public hearing on January 25th. Public hearing continued on February 8th, as shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Pedestrian Easement Plan, 909 Massachusetts Avenue and Island Street, Boston, Roxbury, one sheet dated January 17th, 2022, revised February 14th, 2024. Would the proponents please introduce themselves, their affiliations, and give us a overview of changes since your last hearing?
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the commission, Attorney Nick Zazula, McDermott, Quilty, Miller, and Hanley, zoning and permitting attorney for this project. Happy to finally say we are ready to move forward today, Mr. Chair, after a few continuances. So we really appreciate your and the commission's patience with us as we work with staff on these two petitions. With me today is Kevin Sanders again, our civil engineer from EBI Consulting, and John Adair from Atlantic Oliver Mass LLC, who is the property owner and petitioner. We had new business on January 11th, so it has been a few weeks. So it's just some background. These petitions for specific repairs and pedestrian easements originally approved by the commission in April 2022. Some revisions to those plans as approved, which is why we're here today. The property owner had been cooperating with the city on the bike lane project along Mass Ave. They agreed to close the Mass Ave entrance to the site, which you can see on the lower right-hand side of the screen, which is the main entrance to the site, leaving Island Street as the main point of vehicular access to this property. And while waiting for the Mass Ave improvements to kind of wrap up before they started their own work, they took a look at their own plans that had originally been approved, and upon kind of additional review on their end, these approved plans provide for what is really a very wide sidewalk on Island Street, which is a side street off Mass Ave. And obviously they want to accommodate the city input for wider sidewalks, streetscape improvements and everything on Island Street and Mass Ave, but wanted to maintain as much flexibility for their own uses of their property, current and future. So they made some changes to what was originally approved, which you'll see in a minute from Kevin. And I will say, since the new business hearing on January 11th, we've been working hard with Todd, Public Works staff, street lighting, et cetera, to kind of come to a compromise as to what work should be done on Mass Ave by the petitioner versus the city. The city's already done quite a bit of work on Mass Ave with the bike lanes, so just wanted to make sure we were getting through any confusion as to what needed to be done and by whom on Mass Ave. I think we've got it sorted out now. That's what the delay was on our end. And of course, you know, we're going to closely coordinate with the construction management team and public works staff on next steps to make sure that this gets done correctly. So a lot of work's been done up to this point. That's the ramp up, and I'll let Kevin kind of show you on the plans here now as to what kind of work we're looking to do on both Island and on Mass Ave. So Kevin, I'll
Okay, good morning, everybody. So as Nick said, we've been working through this for the last couple months. And previously we had told you about the work that we're doing on Island Street, where we were reducing the sidewalks. And I think everybody was in agreement that these sidewalks meet the city requirements. And that was fine. One of the comments we had at our last hearing was that the green infrastructure group would wanted something green in the corner here and not have just a concrete island. So we have accommodated that by adding a bioretention planter. So the gutter line drainage will go into the bioretention area. It will infiltrate, and then anything that it cannot handle, the overflow will bring it into the city system in Mass Ave. I mean, there's a drainage manhole right over here in the vicinity of it. Also, one of the things that was requested was to show what work that we are going to be doing versus what was done. So here I showed that all this work was already completed by the city, and then this work is what would still need to be done. And then we put together, so everybody's on the same page, we put together this note about who's doing what for the scope. And this is an agreement between us and DPW, the lighting department, and others. So I think at this point, we are all in agreement. I think this is now ready to go, and we should have a shovel-ready project ready for as soon as winter's over to get going.
And Mr. Chair, I'll just say last thing, I don't see Chong on the meeting, on the hearing today, but we have provided what we believe is final form of the agreements. I don't know if Chong is away this week or just dealing with other matters, but he does have an updated set of agreements. I know at the new business hearing, you had specifically asked about that. The petitioner is ready to finalize those agreements and sign them in due course with Chong and the legal team. So that's our presentation, but just wanted to make sure that I hit that task item as well, which I recall you bringing up at the new business hearing.
Well, I very much appreciate that, and I appreciate all of the great work that's gone in. And I know this has been a process, but I appreciate the proponents' willingness to be collaborative partners in this, and I'm glad we were able to resolve outstanding issues. Because this agenda item is specific for the pedestrian easement plan, I'm wondering if we can click back to that and just review whether there have been any changes there. We can vote and then move on to the specific repairs for further discussion around the issues that we've mostly been talking about here.
Understood. Yeah, Kevin, I don't think there has been any changes to the pedestrian easement from the new business hearing. It's the same, correct?
No, from the new, it has not changed. It's still the 1 foot wide easement along the street.
So the changes that have been made, Mr. Chair, have been specifically as to the specific petition. There's no change to the pedestrian easement, which was in front of the commission for new business on the 11th of January.
Understood. Thank you. Commissioners, any questions or comments on the pedestrian easement component of this? PIC staff or members of the public?
I think we're all set on the pedestrian easement.
All right, do I hear a motion to approve? Public hearing continued, number 1.
I'll make a motion to approve a petition by Atlantic Oliver Mass LLC for the acceptance of a pedestrian easement in Island Street as read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstain? So moved. On to public hearing continued, number 2, on a petition by Atlantic Oliver Mass LLC for the making of specific repairs within the following public ways in Roxbury, consisting of curb realignment, sidewalk reconstruction, as well as new and relocated pedestrian ramp, street lighting infrastructure, green stormwater infrastructure, and driveway curb cuts. Massachusetts Avenue on its southwesterly side at address numbers 903 to 909, generally southeast of Island Street west of Massachusetts Avenue. This was new business on January 11th and had public hearings on January 25th and February 8th. As shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Specific Repair Plan 909 Massachusetts Avenue and Island Street, Boston, Roxbury. One sheet dated January 17th, 2022, revised February 14th, 2024. Would the petitioners please reintroduce themselves and their affiliations? And I know we covered a lot of this in your previous remarks, and no need to repeat yourself, but please, if there's anything additional that you'd like to add regarding the specific repairs that was not covered in the previous comments, please do so.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the commission, Attorney Nick Zazula, McDermott, Quilty, Miller, and Hanley, zoning and permitting attorneys for the project. With me today, civil engineer Kevin Sanders from EBI Consulting, John Adair from the property ownership of Atlantic Oliver Mass LLC. I think we did cover everything. Sorry to take things out of order, Mr. Chair, but yeah, I don't think we have anything further to add from our previous overview of the specific repairs, but happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Not a problem at all. Commissioners, questions on the specific repairs? All right, hearing none, PIC staff or members of the public?
I know one of the modifications to this plan was the addition of the green stormwater infrastructure at the corner. Just hoping you can confirm, Nick, that that will be in the project's LMI and the project will maintain that in perpetuity?
Yes, it's in the LMI, correct.
Great, thanks.
All right, seeing no other comments or questions, last call. All right, do I hear a motion to approve? Public hearing continued, number 2.
I'll make a motion to approve a petition by Atlantic Oliver Mass LLC for the making of specific repairs in Massachusetts Avenue and Island Street as read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstain? So moved. Third time is the charm. Thank you, Nick and team. Much appreciated.
Thank you so much, and I just want to say, Mr. Chair, if Ms. Cording has a side hustle as an auctioneer, she reads so quickly, I love it. And have a great
It's good. It's good. Awesome. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
On to public hearing number 1 on a petition by Massachusetts Convention Center Authority for the acceptance of an expanded pedestrian easement adjacent to Summer Street Public Way, South Boston, located on its southwesterly side at address number 415, generally northwest of World Trade Center Avenue. New business on January 25th, as shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division, pedestrian easement, BCEC North Plaza sidewalk replacement and security enhancements. 415 Summer Street, Boston, one sheet dated February 2024. Would the proponents please introduce themselves, their affiliations, and give us an update on, a brief reintroduction to this project and an update on any changes since your last hearing.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is John Schmidt with Niche Engineering, the civil engineer on the project. And I'd like to introduce Rob Noonan from the MCCA, who's the representative, to give you a brief overview of what we are proposing here and why.
Thank you, John, and thank you everyone for taking this up before you today. And I want to just first just extend my thanks to your team and working with us, I think, over the course of the last really couple of years as we've kind of brought this concept or idea forward. But I thought it'd be appropriate today to at least give you all a little bit of background of why we are going down this road of suggestion of this enhancement to the frontage of the BCEC. So my name is Rob Noonan. I'm the Chief Information Security Officer for the MCCA. And back in 2019, the Convention Center, along with the Department of Homeland Security, conducted several threat and vulnerability assessments of the BCEC. As part of that evaluation process, a consistent theme continued to come back on the vulnerability of a vehicle ramming attack with respect to the front of the BCEC main plaza in North Lobby. As a result of that, the MCCA engaged into a comprehensive engineering study to understand what we could do to mitigate that risk. Before you today is really the result of that plan of what we came up with along with our engineering team to mitigate that threat and enhance the safety of all those that attend events at the BCEC each and every year. In saying that, the MCCA is very aligned, I think, with the city and with what the future planning is with respect to all modes of transportation. That initiative, believe it or not, really does enhance our ability to host events so that we're able to circulate our events and attendees throughout the city, but more importantly in and around our venues. So I think what we've done as a collective team, along with your team in the city, is come up with a way that we can make both things work in order to protect, I think, those that are attending events at the BCEC, while at the same time allow and enhance the modes of transportation that the city is looking to push forward. So be happy to answer any questions about background on the project, but I just felt it would be appropriate to give you a little bit of history of why we were going down this road.
Thank you, Robert. So before you is the existing conditions plan that shows a couple of bollards in the front that we've determined are not sufficient to provide adequate security. This is an older rendering of what the bollards would look like, a series of bollards and planter boxes along the sidewalk. And then at the new business that we had about a month ago, there was discussion and concern about clearances between the curb and the line of bollards and planters. And we're providing a 3-foot, 10-inch clearance for drop-off of cabs and other sources of vehicles to give a 3-foot, 10-inch landing, and then we'll have a 5-foot bikeway that'll abut the bollards themselves. Here's another view of that. But the ask at this moment has to do with the pedestrian easement. And presently, there is a pedestrian easement that runs along the back of the existing line of bollards here. That is about 16 feet, that is 16 feet deep. What we are proposing is widening that easement to provide a 16-foot clearance from the back of the new located bollards. So this easement will run behind the bollards in the planter boxes, approximately 16 feet wide, to allow for 16 feet of pedestrian access between the bollards and that line for pedestrian path of travel as people walk down the Summer Street sidewalk behind the bollards. They have a clear path of travel for public access. Any questions?
Commissioners, questions, comments?
Hi, John. I just wanted to confirm that there is an accessible pickup drop-off on East Side Drive for folks who might need a little bit more room to maneuver to get out of the vehicles.
I believe Emily is on this call who is, speaks to those, but my understanding is that there is an area on this side here for vehicles to pull over to provide safe and accessible access to visitors of the convention center.
That's correct, John.
Great, thank you.
Commissioners, other questions, comments? Do I hear a motion to approve public hearing number 1?
I'll make a motion to approve a petition by the Massachusetts Convention Center Authority for the acceptance of a pedestrian easement in Summer Street as read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstain? So moved. On to public hearing number 2 on a petition by Massachusetts Convention Center Authority for the making of specific repairs within Summer Street Public Way, South Boston, located on its southwesterly side at address number 415, generally northwest of World Trade Center Avenue, consisting of curb and sidewalk reconstruction, as well as new and relocated pedestrian ramps, bollards, planters, and bicycle facilities. New business on January 25th, as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Civic Repairs Plan, Boston Convention and Exhibition Center, North Plaza Replacement and Security Enhancements, 415 Summer Street, South Boston, 4 sheets dated November 2023. Would the proponents please reintroduce themselves and give us an update on this portion of the proposal?
Good morning again, John Schmidt, Niche Engineering, civil engineer for the project. So again, we're proposing a line of new security bollards and planters along the edge of Summer Street, protect the facility and its users. At new business, there was a question raised about adequate access along the edge of the curb line. The project team met with Amy and Todd on or about February 1st to review the various options. And I think we've all come to an agreement that this proposed section is appropriate and acceptable. It's also been reviewed by other city agencies prior to this hearing, where we provide a 3.3-foot 10-inch landing. The bikeway, should the bikeway be relocated onto the sidewalk area, a bike lane is provided for that use. That is 5 feet wide, and then we have the bollards and the planters along the edge of just beyond that. We are proposing to delineate the bike lane, and we will coordinate with the city prior to construction to determine where the pilot bike lane program is landing. But should the bike lane end up in this area, we're proposing a surface treatment that would be non-slip, but would certainly clearly delineate the materials used in the bike lane. And we would review those materials with the city prior to installation. There is also a question about the existing bike rack. Right now there's some bike storage, but we are proposing there is an area here just to the east of the convention center that is outside the path of travel for the sidewalk that will lend itself for the blue bike station. So that's the intent, is to move that to the blue bike station to this area here in the future. I think that's the extent of the questions and concerns raised at the
Commissioners, questions? So I have two questions related to the bike facility as it's being proposed. So first, How will bikes transition from street level where the existing bike facilities are on either end of this project to this sidewalk level bike facility? And who will be responsible for any constructed elements of that?
So presently there is a, let me go back to here. It doesn't show that. Let me go back to this. There is a ramp here that would allow bikes to transition up on the sidewalk to the bike lane facility here. And as far as maintenance goes to that, I know that the Convention Center is reviewing the LMR, and finally stated that they agree to provide and maintain the improvements associated with this application for this proposal.
When you say that there's a ramp there, that is the pedestrian access ramp that serves those crosswalks, correct?
Correct, yes.
And what is the width of the tactile on that ramp?
I believe it's, the landing is probably what this minimum of what the requirements are, probably 4 to 5 feet is the landing.
And then what is the condition on the other end as you approach the driveway or further down along the convention center frontage?
Are you talking here? Or, I'm sorry, I'm missing where you're at.
No, I'm talking if you were to be traveling east on Summer Street. What I'm hearing you say is that bikes would come up. Would you somehow use this curb ramp to come up to the sidewalk, connect to the sidewalk level bike lane? When they need to reconnect to the street level bike lane, how would they do that?
Well, I would assume that this ramp would serve as access onto and off of to the parking station.
I'm talking east of here.
Over here?
Unless I'm confused. No, east other way. Unless I'm confused about where we are.
Do you mean
By the
access?
Weston?
You mean access here?
No, further east on the other side of the convention center.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I think by the Weston.
Over here. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. My apologies. So basically, the way the design is here, that bikes would come back. This is a flush condition here, where we have a pedestrian ramp here. We have the flush condition and the pedestrian ramp here. So bikes would come and access between the ramps, come down here. And again, we have a similar flush condition over here. So bikes would then exit between the two pedestrian ramps back into the path of travel.
Okay, I'm just trying to make sure I understand. So that flush condition, does that exist today or is that part of this project?
That was part of this project.
Okay, so you will create a flush.
It basically will have one large flush condition here, delineated by accessible paths of travel on edges, and the center is open for the bike path of travel. Like this.
Got it. And so this will just function as a fully shared pedestrian bicycle mixing zone, correct?
That will be, that's the way it will operate, correct?
Got it. And what is the condition of there's a bridge joint that runs parallel to the curb line here. My concern would be that a bicycle would need to cross that bridge joint in order to access that ramp. And because it is a parallel joint, that potentially poses a significant safety hazard were a wheel to become entrapped in the bridge joint. Have you inspected the condition of that? Is there a plan for how that is to be maintained and to ensure safe transition for bikes up onto the sidewalk level bike lane?
I have not looked into that option. I'm not sure if the convention center can speak to if other repairs are proposed in this area as well. But it can be, certainly, if that's a concern you have, it can be something that we can put into, we can incorporate into the conditions of approval.
Sure, and I can add a little bit, John. This is Matt Sherman with Simpson, Gumpertz, and Hager, the structural engineer on the project. That joint was recently replaced in kind. That really separates two totally separate bridge-type structures. Because the pilot program has not been finalized, and it wasn't even in progress when that joint replacement was there. The joint is currently, like as you described, just two parallel sides. Should the city have decide to go in a different way than the way the bike lane is configured now, there'll have to be some updates to that joint.
Forgive me, but it seems like though this project, as currently proposed, is proposing a different condition for bikes, right? So irrespective of the future pilot, there is, if we are bringing bikes onto the sidewalk, even if there's no bike lane on either end, we're moving bikes, we're creating a condition where we're inviting cyclists to ride at the sidewalk level, which necessitates a crossing of this joint by what you are proposing here today.
John, do you want to hit, right now, this was an alternate. As far as we understand, it's not sure.
Right. We've been, you know, we've been under the impression that the city has a bike lane in Summer Street that is a pilot program. And should the city determine that the bike lane is better served by the sidewalk, we're providing that sidewalk access for that bike lane, as I indicated in the previous drawings. The concern about crossing a parallel bridge joint is first time this discussion has been raised. But I also like to note that this is an area of slow bicycle traffic. As bicycles enter and exit the walkway, there will be, they have some responsibility as a bike rider to be fairly slow and aware of the conditions around them. I assume, and I don't want to speak for the convention center, but we will investigate what that condition looks like, and if there's an opportunity to improve it, we will do so. But that's sort of the position that I understand we are in.
Yeah, I mean, my issue though is that it doesn't matter if you're going fast or slow on a bike. If your tire is caught in in a bridge joint, you're probably falling over. And this is an area with a lot of vehicular activity and a lot of pedestrian activity. So that is what I do not want to do here today, is approve a sidewalk level bike facility with no plan for how a bicyclist will safely enter and exit that sidewalk level bike facility. And it doesn't seem like we've thought this aspect of that through right now. And so I don't know that I could support a approval for something if we don't know how it's going to function safely if and when it's implemented.
Can I just say something from the convention center's perspective? And so I really appreciate the questions or the points that you're raising here right now. And just so we're all clear, right? The original intent was that we wanted to extend the bollard line to the to really the curb line, right? That's the original, I think, project that we were trying to move forward with. The result of us putting this bike lane, I think, onto the sidewalk, that's being done in collaboration with you all, right? So in saying that, we are absolutely committed to making sure that any transition of that bike rider, will be done in a safe way. The last thing we want is to have anybody going up and down on our roadway system or on our frontage and have a safety issue. I think what we're trying to get done today is to understand if this is an acceptable, adjustment to the original project. That's what we were really hoping to do today. The variation that you bring it up, I don't think there's any objection from the convention center that we wouldn't intend to make that a safe transition.
Yeah, I appreciate that commitment. I think my concern is we're looking at a plan that doesn't provide a specific answer to this fairly significant issue with this design. So I think we just need to come to some resolution on how that will function safely.
Okay, go
I was
ahead.
going to say, so from the convention center's perspective, I thought the ask with this last version was to show that a bike lane could be put on the sidewalk if that was the city's final determination. So I thought that the idea of the add alternate was simply to show that the space was available for the bike lane, right, and that any additional engineering that would need to be done fixed with the joint wasn't really part of this project unless you then say, we would like to move the bike lane up onto the sidewalk.
I mean, you're showing a condition and making commitments to implement a condition on the sidewalk if we so choose. So my point is that we can't accept that as a viable solution, potential solution to our concerns if there is no plan for how that bike lane will be accessed safely.
So my ask is this, as Robert indicated, this has been going on for several years, and the convention center is obligated to install these security measures. We started this process probably 6 to 8 months ago. My ask is that you provide conditional approval, and then when we submit, we will provide a detail on how those corrective measures will be made at that crossing, and we'll review that with PIC staff, and that will be included in the Mylar submission for your records. So if and when the city determines that this bike lane will be on the sidewalk, the convention center will then do those improvements at the joints.
You're on mute.
So the proponent would be willing to accept a conditional approval that is subject to the development and sign off by the city of final Mylars that address all of the issues that we have discussed related to ramp access, joint crossing, and you understand that in doing that, if you're unable to reach a satisfactory conclusion with us, that means that this larger effort is not approved, correct?
Yeah, I guess, Josh, I think, where I'm just a little bit at a loss is that, throughout this process, and it has been a long process, that, at every point with the city, we've been compromising, I think, what the original plan has been. So our signaling back to the city is that we're willing to do whatever it takes, I think, to get the project moving forward, and I think that is still our commitment today. In order for us to speak intelligently about a specific joint that was just recently repaired on how we would make a transition, we're fully committed to doing that. The longer we push this project back, I have real concerns about safety and security for the venue. That's going to become a bigger issue for us.
Rob, with all due respect, the city has been clearly communicating its interest in the public right-of-way here for years, and there has not been, until recently, a robust attempt to work with us to develop a solution to that. And there have been multiple periods of non-responsiveness from the MCCA where we have conveyed our position and our goals and have not received revised plans or adjustments. So I appreciate that this feels like it has been a long time. It has been a long time. It precedes my sitting in this chair, but we have responsibilities as it relates to the functioning and safety of the public right-of-way, just as you have responsibilities related to the functioning and safety of the convention center. And we need you to work with us to make sure that all of those things can be satisfied together. We are making progress, and I appreciate the effort that has recently gone into finding compromise solutions. But at the end of the day, we can't approve something unless we have clear clarity that the net result of that approval is going to be a functional, safe public right-of-way for all of the users of that street, right? That is our fundamental responsibility. And what I am saying is what I am looking at right now addresses a portion of the issue that we have raised, which is where will bikes travel when they are traveling adjacent to the convention center? And I still have one more question and concern related to that, which we can get to in a second. What I am not seeing is clarity on how bikes will safely enter and exit that travel area, and how we're going to mitigate pedestrian conflicts, how we're going to stripe, how we're going to indicate where people should go and keep pedestrians and bikes separated from each other appropriately, and how we are going to address the issue of a potentially unsafe crossing condition. That is a necessary component of a final approval for your overall project, and we need you to continue to work with us until we have that in place. I'm willing to entertain the idea of a conditional approval, but what I am saying to you is the condition of that approval is that we achieve, between the city and the MCCA, agreement about a final design that addresses all of the issues we're talking about today and that we believe is fundamentally a safe, appropriate condition for all users of the street. If you're willing to agree to that, I am willing to entertain a conditional approval. But if what I'm saying is if we can't reach that agreement, right, you're not going to get final approval from us, and those Mylars are not going to be, filed and recorded.
Yeah, I think just from, and I appreciate it. I appreciate what you're saying. When you say the final conditions, what are is it just related to the to the joint that we're talking about? Like, so if we get a conditional approval, what are those bullet points that we have to address? I just want to know what we're walking away from, so the goalpost doesn't move, at least in our perception, the next time we come back.
Yeah, I mean, I think the two things we're talking about right now, and I do have one other thing, are fundamentally the issue is how do bikes get on and off the bike lane, the sidewalk level bike lane. And within that bullet, there are two sub-bullets. One is the striping and ramp configuration so that those movements can happen without conflicting with pedestrians, so that they are visually clear to somebody riding a bike what they're supposed to do, where they're supposed to go. If we are creating a pedestrian bike mixing zone, how are we delineating that mixing zone so that it can be off, so that it can function safely? So that's sub-bullet number one. Sub-bullet number two is we are going to ask bikes to cross a parallel expansion joint, and we need to understand how that can happen safely without endangering cyclists by trapping wheels in that joint. Those are the two issues that we have right now. If that is sufficient clarity for you, we can move on to the third thing that I want to talk about.
Yeah, I'm fine on mine. I don't know if John or Matt or Shannon has any comments to what was just said.
I guess, Joshua, from my end, so to be clear, I think to John's point earlier is, I think we were showing the space for the bike lane as an odd alternate if the city chooses to put it there. So is a requirement of this project that we provide the bike lane on the sidewalk at the time that the bollards are installed?
What I heard you say is that you will install a bike lane, and you talked about specific materials that you would use to do that installation. So what are you actually proposing to do? Simply allows for space, or to do a bike lane?
What I said is that we're providing the space for the bike lane, and prior to construction, we will coordinate with the city to determine if this indeed will be a bike lane or not. And if it is, then we will add the appropriate painting and membrane and signage or whatever it may need to delineate that bike lane.
Okay, so Shannon, to answer your question, I'm hearing John say, look, if we want you to, you will put the bike lane on there as part of this project. And, I will defer to my colleagues about whether the specifics on timing, but in order for us to approve something that presents a bike lane as a viable option here, we need to understand how the related details associated with the functioning of that bike lane in the project area are going to be addressed. So irrespective of whether we ask you to build it now or later, we still need a plan that we are comfortable with for those other issues that we've raised.
Okay, so that was kind of where I just wanted to go with that, is that whether the bike lane remains in the road or comes up on the sidewalk is still basically a to be determined outcome of the current bus bike lane pilot that's going on at your discretion. However that wraps up, that where it should go comes out of that kind of period with the city and their reviewing of all the facts and findings. But we, in the meantime, need to have a fully operable plan that says this is where it should go and that it works perfectly fine if it is on the sidewalk location.
Exactly right. Yep.
Okay.
All right, so the next issue I want to talk about, though, is the actual lane itself. John, do you mind jumping to that overview slide that shows the cross-section? And yeah, that's great. So help me understand, I don't see any, there's this sort of white delineation between the bollards and the bike lane and between the pedestrian area or the boarding area and the bike lane, but I don't see any dimension. Are those two things delineated with by any physical space?
I think I understand your question, but I may be wrong. So let me just describe it as best I can.
Yep.
We have a 3-foot 10-inch clearance here for pedestrian safety, landing access for people exiting vehicles. We have and then we have a 5-foot bike lane that goes from here to the bollards and planters. And then the dimensioning between the bollards is 3.9 3 feet. And the spacing between the bollard and the planter is 4.62 feet. So a pedestrian would get out of the car, look to see if there's any bikes coming. If it's clear, then they could cross this way.
Okay, so these white stripes that we're seeing that are running parallel to the bike lane on either side are not actually real delineations. The bike lane, the green surface would abut directly the bollards with no separation, and similarly, whatever the treatment is for the pedestrian boarding, loading area would have, there's no delineator between those two areas, correct?
You know, this was the diagram. I guess the question is, what would the city prefer? Would you like to have a white delineation between the two, or would you just like it to be entirely a green stripe the full way?
I'm going to defer to my colleagues to answer that question on the delineation.
What are the materials?
Between
What are the materials of these two things?
So this is poured concrete here. This will be poured concrete, but there'll be a membrane placed on top of it, skid-proof, slip-proof membrane that will clearly, a green membrane that will clearly call out the, you know, with the symbols of the bike lane here. So you got concrete, green, and concrete.
Yeah, so if it's all one material, then I don't think you need physical, right, like a different constructed separation, but it's then how you do this with, is the bike lane just is green and the rest is cement concrete, that's fine. There doesn't need to be anything holding, right, like bituminous or something else there.
Okay.
So I'm happy to defer to Amy on that side of the bike lane. I have a concern about the other side of the bike lane, which is shy distance. If I'm reading your plans correctly, the bollards and planters are 48 inches high, is that correct?
Let me look at the details here. Does any, Matt, do you know the height of the bollards?
Yeah, it's right. It's on page 9 there. That dimension is shown on the left-hand side. Remember, these are rated bollards. They have to be crash tested. So this is, you can zoom in. It's the cylindrical piece shows the height of it.
Yeah, I'm trying to zoom in. That's my problem.
Oh, gotcha.
I think it's, 48 inches.
Got it. So the concern I have is looking at the MassDOT separated bike lane planning and design guide, which is some of the operative engineering guidance that we use when developing safe bike facilities. That guidance addresses the issue of vertical objects that are adjacent to a bike facility and stipulates that if there are objects in excess of 36 inches adjacent to the bike facility, that there needs to be some buffer shy distance allowance in between those vertical objects and the bike facility itself. And the reasoning for this is that somebody riding a bicycle, the handlebars are typically the widest piece of a bike when you are riding, and if you catch those handlebars on a vertical object that is adjacent to the bike lane, you are going down, and it is a very unsafe condition. So what we're showing here does not meet those shy distance guidelines. We're showing 48-inch objects directly adjacent with no buffer. I think we need to look at that and we can certainly do that offline of this meeting. There are potentially understanding that the bollards and planters can't move, and that's been the subject of much of this debate. I think the 3 potential tools that I see us having here are 1, shortening the height of those, if that is feasible, 2, narrowing the width of the bike lane and creating some kind of buffer, or 3, narrowing the width of the pedestrian landing area so that we can allow for a buffer on the other side of the bike lane.
Can we take the 10 inches from that, make it 3 feet, and then put the 10 inches as the shy zone from the bike lane, leave the bike lane at 5 feet, so 3 feet, 5 feet, and then there'll be a gap between the green and the bollard?
I will just note, Amy, that technically the guidance from MassDOT is a 12-inch clearance if there is no curb at the edge of the bike lane. However, I suspect the city would be fine with a 4-foot 10-inch bike lane and a 1-foot buffer there.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's where we stop the green, but at least make the pedestrian zone 3 feet, and then how we want to paint the green within the remaining can be up for conversation.
All right, so we'll provide a 10-foot, I'm sorry, you said 12-inch clearance? I apologize. And we'll confirm that.
12 inch is what's called for by the MassDOT guidelines when there
Okay,
are
so we'll provide, we'll move the
no.
bike lane over 12 inches. We'll have a 4-foot, 10-inch bike lane, and then we'll have a 3-foot landing area. And that'll hopefully make everyone satisfied with concerns.
And we should review that. I would ask that you review that and get sort of final okay from city staff, but that sounds to me like a potentially very viable solution to this issue.
Okay.
All right. Anybody else on the commission? Questions, comments? PIC staff or members of the public?
I think we're all set. I just want to make sure that I have all of our potential contingent items straight. So we have final design of the bike ramps at either end of this plaza and also the striping. We have the potential impacts of and to the joint between the bridge decks. And then we also have a modification of some of the widths here, which will be, if I heard you correctly, a 36-inch landing area, a 4-foot 10 bike lane, and a 12-inch buffer area between the bike lane and the bollards. Do I have all that right?
Everything on my list. All right. Seeing no other questions or hearing no other comments, do I hear a motion to provide contingent approval for public hearing number 2?
I'll make a motion to approve a petition by the Massachusetts Convention Center Authority for the making of specific repairs in Summer Street contingent upon the updating and approval of the bike ramps, the joint treatments, and the dimensions of the facilities on the sidewalk as read into our by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Any opposed or abstain? So moved. Thank you very much. All right, on to public hearing number 3 on a petition by the Community Builders Incorporated, DBA Morrissey Boulevard 121A LP for the making of specific repairs within Conley Street, public way, Dorchester, located at the side of 900 William T. Morrissey Boulevard, generally between Norwood Street and Morrissey Boulevard, consisting of curb and sidewalk reconstruction, as well as new and relocated pedestrian ramps, specialty pavement, street trees, and driveway curb cuts. New business from February 8th, as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division, Specific Repair Plan, Conley Street, Dorchester, Boston, 3 sheets dated August 30th, 2023, revised February 5th, 2024. Would the proponents please introduce themselves, their affiliations, and give us an update on how things have changed since your last hearing?
Good evening, Mr. Chair. Michael Malinowski with Allen and Major Associates. We are the civil engineers for the project. On the line, I have Matthew Martin from the Community Builders, as well as David Tanner from BWA Architecture, who's doing the architecture for the building. Just a quick overview, the project consists of the conversion of the old Comfort Inn to 104 affordable units to service seniors who have experienced chronic homelessness. As part of the overall project, in our BPDA approval, there was a request to install a pedestrian sidewalk from the corner of Morrissey Boulevard to the north, to the south, and extending to the north to the overhead railroad bridge. The last time we had presented, there was some discussions relative to increasing the width of the sidewalk so that we can maintain a full 5-foot clear between the new proposed tree pits to facilitate the existing trees in that area. So we have provided that. We did get clarification from city staff that they would allow a slightly reduced travel way to 23.6 for Connolly Street to facilitate this increase in sidewalk. I think that's all that has changed. Just to also give you an update, so at our last non-public hearing, one of the questions came up relative to this existing telephone pole. We did reach out to Verizon, who indicated that, yes, they do own the poles and that there are actually 4 companies that have real estate on that pole. Verizon, Eversource, Comcast, and RCN. In speaking with the Verizon engineer, they had indicated that any possibility to relocate that pole would be in excess of a year to facilitate that, and looking at a price tag of anywhere between $50,000 and $20,000 just for their work. That includes the pole, which they have indicated would be set back behind it, and then they would have to wait for the other utilities to push their work back. The big one would be Eversource, because based on a review of that with the Verizon engineer, it appears that there is both primary and secondary power on there. We did reach out to Eversource to see if we could get an estimate for their fee to relocate their power out there. We have not, they've not returned our phone calls relative to that. We did, so one of the items that we had provided last was sort of a clearance diagram of where that existing pole, you can see in the blue are the dimensions of what's existing. So we have an 8-foot by 3-foot proposed tree pit. There is approximately 6.8 feet from the face of the tree to the face of the pole, and 3.4 feet from the proposed sidewalk to the pole. It does meet the federal standards for clearances around there. The City of Boston does require 5 feet. Currently, we have a permeable material that is going in the tree pits. That had been the request of the green group. One of the options may be to, if there is a true desire to get a full 5 feet, to look at possibly a grate in this area. I'd be happy to open up any questions that the board and the commission may have.
Commissioners, questions?
Since there will be a permeable, I'm looking at the tree detail, either a resin-bound aggregate or permeable or repaving, I think the Disabilities Commission could be amenable for that 6'8" dimension. I think we do allow some flexibility with existing trees, so just ensuring what that material ends up being, whether it is resin bound or permeable or paving. Just please keep our office in the loop on that.
Yeah, currently we have it shown as the resin bound aggregate in that area, and we will make sure once construction starts we will ensure that is laid flush with the sidewalk, so that there is not a lip or a depression in those pit areas.
Great, thank you.
Excellent. Commissioners, any other questions? All right, PIC staff or members of the public?
I'll just put on record that the Parks Department has confirmed that they will continue to maintain all of the street trees here, and the city's Office of Green Infrastructure has confirmed that they will maintain the resin-bound aggregate, which is to be installed within some or all of the tree pits. So I don't believe that there are any non-standard materials to be maintained by the project.
All right. Do I hear a motion to approve public hearing number 3?
I'll make a motion to approve a petition by the community builders, DBA Morrissey Boulevard, 121A LP, for the making of specific repairs in Connolly Street, as read into record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstain? So moved. Thank you very much and best of luck with this important project.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, on to public hearing number 4 on a petition by Verizon New England Incorporated for a grant of location with lead company status and no participants to install new telecommunication conduit with city shadow within Tremont Street Public Way, Boston proper, located generally at address number 660 between West Brookline Street and Pembroke Street / Aguadilla Street. This was new business on February 8th, as shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department and Engineering Division. Grant of location plan, Verizon 660 Tremont Street, proposed conduit installation. One sheet dated January 2024. Would the proponents please introduce themselves, their affiliation, and give us an update on anything that has changed or responses to the comments you heard at your last hearing?
Yes, good morning. Once again, Ross Bilodeau, representing Verizon New England. At our last hearing, you had asked that we relocate this conduit to the southeast side of the street to get it out of the bike lanes. So we were able to have our engineers take a look at that and grant that request. So we will be tying in at a spare duct coming out of our existing manhole 423, and coming down the traveled lane, like you guys had asked for, and around the existing median to a future shared handhole with Extenet. This is also going to include a city shadow, and we're proposing, again, 1 4-inch PVC conduit. I know this will have to be approved again by Boston Water and Sewer, so we're going to ask that this be continued until next time so that we are able to get that approval from them.
Thank you.
All right, appreciate that. Appreciate the responsiveness to the comments. Do I hear a motion to continue public hearing number 4?
I'll make a motion to continue public hearing item number 4, as read into record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstain? So moved. On to public hearing number 5, a petition by Verizon New England Incorporated for a grant of location with lead company status and no participants to install new telecommunication conduit with city shadow within 16th Street Public Way, Charlestown, located generally at the side of 300 First Avenue between 5th Avenue and 1st Avenue. New business from February 8th, as shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Grant of Location Plan, Verizon 300 First Avenue. Proposed conduit installation, 1 sheet dated January 2024. The proponents please reintroduce themselves, their affiliations, and give us an update since your last hearing.
Yes, once again, Ross Bilodeau representing Verizon New England. Just a quick follow-up here. We're going to be tying into our dead-end conduits and running 1 4-inch Schedule 40 PVC duct with a city shadow. To 300, the purpose is to get some fiber to 300 First Ave. They had reached out to Verizon as they were looking for some redundancy survivability circuits, which were not installed during the original rehab of this building. I'm under the impression and the understanding that there will be no disturbance to this sidewalk, as there's an existing duct that we'll be tying into that will connect to this manhole. The existing manhole rather. So all of our dig here will just happen in the street, and we will not be touching any of that new sidewalk which was put in when this project, the rehab project, was done out here.
Ross, maybe I'm just missing it, but I'm not seeing that reflected on the plans I'm looking at.
I think they're showing the whole path here, but our dig is supposed to stop here at this curb line.
Is there a structure there?
There is a structure here, and there's an existing stubbed out conduit coming out to the existing curb line.
Are you gonna drop a handhole there?
No, we're just gonna put a sleeve and connect to that existing, it's a dead end stub that we can use to connect to that manhole rather.
Ross, if this project is approved by the commission, can you please make sure that the plan is updated to reflect that condition, the existing stubbed conduit, the connection point, and an updated linear feet of
Yeah,
proposed.
like your dig
installation?
from your pole, right? Like they're different things, right? We care about what you're digging here, but you're also gonna trigger some other permitting things if you show crossing a sidewalk in that way. I don't think it'll be immediately understood that it's under the sidewalk that you're, right? Like, I think that just split it out as a dig and a pole.
Understood.
All right, JC, any further comments, questions? JC staff, public, members of the public?
No, Ross, I'll work with you to make those plan updates before you submit Mylars.
Sure.
All right, do I hear a motion to approve public hearing number 5?
I'll make a motion to approve a petition by Verizon New England, Inc. for a grant of location within 16th Street as read into record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstain? So moved. On to public hearing number 6, on a petition by Verizon New England Incorporated for granted location with lead company status and no participants to install new telecommunication conduit with city shadow within Avenue Louis Pasteur, public way, Roxbury, located generally at address number 35, between Fenway and Longwood Ave. New business from February 8th, as shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Grant of Location Plan, Verizon 35 Avenue Louis Pasteur. Proposed conduit installation, one sheet dated January 2024. Would the proponent please reintroduce himself, his affiliation, and let us know if anything has changed since your last hearing.
Once again, Ross Bilodeau representing Verizon New England. Just a quick recap here. We're looking to run one new 4-inch from our existing manhole 354D in Louis Pasteur, running to a future shared handhole with Extenet. There are no updates since our last one. I don't believe there were any comments or concerns that needed to be addressed on this one. So we're presenting again as is here.
All right, commissioners, questions, comments? PIC staff or members of the public?
All set on this?
Do I hear a motion to approve public hearing number 6?
Make a motion to approve a petition by Verizon New England, Inc. for a grant of location in Avenue Louis Pasteur as read into record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstain? So moved. Thank you very much, Ross.
Thank you very much.
All right. That concludes our public hearings, and we have one new business item today. Before we move on to this, I will just note that I need to relinquish my virtual gavel to Ms. Cording if we are still proceeding at 11:25, but I will let folks know if and when I need to do that. And with that, our last business item here is new business 1, 632 to 638 Center Street, Greenview Avenue, Leicester Place, West Roxbury, specific repairs on a petition by GCB Realty LLC. Would the proponents please introduce themselves, their affiliations, and walk through what actions you are proposing here? You are muted if you are speaking.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, this is Nalin Mistry. I'm representing 6630 to 638 Center Street project. We are civil engineers, and we are basically under construction under the IST permit for a 3-story building since about 2017 actually, not 2017. And this project has gone through the long review by all the agencies, and currently what we are requesting for the PIC Commissioner to approve the improvement to the Center Street sidewalk and the improvement of the Winter Avenue. Greenview. Yeah, Greenview, I'm sorry, not Winter. Greenview Avenue. On original plans, we did not have any improvements proposed onto the Greenview Avenue. However, as the project got developed and the city requested us to improve that street as well to the end of to the limits of our project. So the plans we have submitted currently, they do represent that all the improvements which were reviewed by the different agencies and all agencies, and their comments has been incorporated on our plans. And the thing, all we have, this is not a new construction, but it is improvement to the existing construction, sidewalk and the Greenview Avenue, and as the Lester Place, that is the private street, and only thing we have proposed currently is to improve the existing short sidewalk. We are introducing also the bike racks onto the existing sidewalks. Also the planter, which is shown on our plan, which is 3 foot wide by the 8 foot long, allowing.
Are you able to put the plans up on the screen just so we can view them as we're talking?
One of the things, unfortunately, I don't have a capacity on this computer I'm dealing with. So,
Todd, are you able to share the plans for the record?
Yep, I got you. Just a minute. Bear with me. I trust you're seeing the plans here.
Yeah, that's fine. This will do the job. So as you can see, the existing sidewalk on the Center Street, which is about 9 foot wide, we are introducing to have access to all the four detailed spaces and the apartment building entrance, and they will be the level with the sidewalk at this time. Currently, where the building got constructed, it wasn't, but because the improvement will come through, and we will provide the level entrances to the building. All the curbs on the Center Street, curbs on the Center Street will be removed and replaced for getting a proper elevations adjustments. The bike rack, as I'm showing, they are shown here, about five bike racks. We are removing and relocating 1 and 2 signs on the Center Street and 1 on the Greenview Avenue. We are improving or providing the access to the handicap transition from the sidewalk to the street levels for the recommendations of the city and by the code. The one on the Greenview Avenue, currently we have a sidewalk was about 3 foot wide, but we have now introduced to make a 5 foot wide, which is ADA accessible to the back of the building parking spaces. And as currently the Greenview used to be some issues with the ponding of the water and the grading, of the existing conditions. we were requested to modify the entire street, including the sidewalks on opposite side of the building. And that is what is presented on our plan at this point. So our construction will include the full width of the Greenview up to our project limit, and the complete rebuilding of the sidewalk on the center street. And all the cross sections and everything shown on the adjoining plans, they do shows our final grading of the project. And we have gone through the agencies, all the agencies where the ISD, the Park and Recreation Departments, the Transportation Department, Water and Sewer, Disability Commissions, Boston and Planning Development Agencies. And we have got all at this point, we are satisfied with the plans and improvements suggested, and they have no further comments. So that is why we have came to the commission now to seeking for the approval of these improvements.
Thank you very much. Can I ask, Andrew, who are you representing? What is your connection to this project? What was that?
I'm the owner of the project.
Ah, got it. So my first question is to you, which is, how is it possible that we are just seeing this project at PIC for the first time now, after the building has been built and been built in such a way that has a sort of obviously inaccessible sidewalk condition associated with it? I'm perplexed. This is very atypical to see a project come through at this late stage and with, what is functionally correcting an obviously avoidable mistake that was made in the original design of the building relative to accessibility needs.
Okay, I'm not a developer per se. This is my only project, so these are all new to me. My understanding was we had filed all the designs and it was approved as we built it. Subsequently, we were told that this did not conform with the requirements for entrance to the building, and that's why we're here today.
Okay, I mean, I am, willing to extend some grace on this if this is your first project and, you're unfamiliar with this process. I will say, certainly your BPDA board approval memo does stipulate the need for coordination with PIC about the interface of this project to the public right-of-way. For the reasons that you are learning now, that is typically an action that happens before a building is built and the final decisions are made about elevation at the sidewalk. Obviously, this is not the order of operations that makes sense for anyone, and I would certainly expect that if you are ever before us again for any future project, that it is well in advance of finalizing decisions about design that have implications for sidewalks and accessibility. This is not how it should be. This is a mistake that is now being fixed, and it is concerning to us as a body that has an important regulatory role to have our component of that being addressed so very, very, very late in the process of this project. So I just want to say that for you and for the record. I will turn it over to my colleagues to continue the conversation about the specifics of this, and I will also, I think at this point, relinquish the chair to Amy Cording.
Any other comments or questions by commission members?
Oh, yes, I have a question. I sent comments back in August, and one of our comments was that the catch basin within the limit of work needs a do not dump plaque and a gun mouse. Can you just confirm that you'll be doing that?
Austin Water
Yes.
Resources.
Denise, this is Steve Dakota. Yes, we saw your comments and we intend to comply with that.
Okay, great. Thank you, Steve.
Okay.
I think we have a hand raised.
Hi, yes, this is Rachel Luna from the Office of Green Infrastructure. I don't believe we've received these plans for review, so I just wanted to add that here.
Rachel, what was your office again?
The Office of Green Infrastructure.
Infrastructure, yes.
All right, I don't think you were on the original distribution list, so I apologize for that. But
Okay.
are you interested in receiving the plans at this point?
Yeah, we can take a quick look. Understand that kind of late in the game, though.
I'll put you all in touch after the hearing.
Okay, thank you.
Thank God.
Any other comments or questions? PSD staff or public?
No, we will take one final look at these plans to make sure that we don't have any other outstanding comments and work with the project on updating anything that needs to be updated between now and the public hearing, but I think we're fine for now.
All right, you guys be ready in 2 weeks?
March 14th is the next hearing.
All right, we'll see you guys back on March 14th?
Okay.
Okay?
Do you want me to make the presentation on the screen with the presentation plans?
Yep, so you're gonna have to come back and do a similar, right, reintroduction of the project, and present again. If you cannot pull up the plan, Todd can do it for you, just let us know. And yeah, similar process, but we'll vote, in 2 weeks.
Yeah, next time I'll be able to use the computer, which will be able to share the screen.
Great,
Okay?
all right, that concludes new business.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
See you guys in 2 weeks.
Thank you.
Thank you.